What's good, y'all? It's your boy Havoc. Final round, doing a little reaction from the post-fight of Virgil Ortiz versus Mckinson. Uh, Look, man, I know a lot of people were critical of Virgil's performance, but he did. I believe he performed pretty well, especially being out of the ring a little bit, coming off the illness, and he doesn't. I heard from somebody that he doesn't have that much experience in actual matchups against the southpaw. I think only like 5 rounds of experience before this fight. I think he did fairly well, and I can't really complain because I saw him utilize all different types of tactics and weapons against the southpaw. Now, granted, Mckinson is not a big puncher, having only 2 knockouts on his resume, having 22 victories, only 2 knockouts. You can only get so much of a look from him. But still kind of an awkward, quirky timing that Mckinson has. And I'm not going to call him slick, but, he is a fleet-footed fighter. And Virgil was able to get the job done. Now, 3 rounds past that than what I thought he would. I thought Virgil would be able to get it done in under 6 rounds. It took him 3 more. But when you have a fighter who's a little bit scrappy, who's undefeated, he's a southpaw, he's moving a lot, it takes time to break down your opponent. But I saw him land his jab. I saw him land a double jab. I saw him, against the southpaw, which is very impressive. I saw him land his right cross. I saw him in his left hook was his biggest weapon, and I think that's going to be his biggest weapon moving forward against southpaws in the future. I saw him utilize angle, step out to the outside and get his lead foot, be lead foot dominant. I saw him pivot to the inside, throw some right uppercuts. So, I didn't get to see the fight live, but hearing a lot of people's reactions, they weren't impressed by Virgil Ortiz's performance. I guess because Mckinson, they believe he should have knocked out Mckinson sooner than later. Fair enough, but when I looked at the highlight reels and I looked at the skills being displayed by Virgil Ortiz, I think he had a good performance. Now, I will say this. Mckinson is going to be a far cry from Bud, from Boots, and you can even throw Earl Spence in there. If out of any of those fights, if I'm Virgil, look, I think he's ready to take on anybody, right? I think he's ready for title matches. And another thing you have to think of is this guy's fighting style is not going to be built for the long haul. Now, granted, he does have the right heritage. This is probably in his blood, and he probably will be fighting for a while. But you're already having, illnesses. You're already getting sick. You're already going through wars. That shit is going to catch up to you, okay? So my thing for Virgil Ortiz, he's ready now. Throw him in there. Let's go. Throw him in there with the Wolves. Look for the big fights. Could he mature a little bit? Could he take on another southpaw to possibly get himself prepared for the southpaw, the big dogs, Spence, Bud, and Boots? Yeah, and he probably should, but you would have to pull out a name for me who's significantly better than Mckinson for me to even entertain that. I think he should get straight to it. That very aggressive style has a shelf life, and he may not be ready to win, but he's ready to compete. And with those guys I just mentioned, I think he's ready to compete. He's not going to look bad. He's not going to get completely outclassed. He will have a shot to win with his skills and ability, his speed, his power, his youth. His combination punching, his IQ. He will have a chance against anybody. But do I favor him to win? I think last night there was some vulnerabilities. You saw that, even though he was able to land his jab, I didn't see him shoot his jab as much. And that may be the reason why it took him a few more rounds to get the job done than most of us anticipated, because his big part of his game when he's facing orthodox fighters is that jab. He's sticking that jab. He's disrupting your timing, your rhythm. He's controlling you with it. It's a big part of his game plan. So when he's facing a southpaw, obviously that jab is not as easy or accessible as it is against the orthodox fighter. So you didn't see him throw it as much. I would have to look at the punch stats. Could be wrong. But, that could have been the reason why it took him a while to break his opponent down. But when you talk about the Bud, Boots, and the EJ, I think the best fight for him out of all those guys is EJ. And a lot of people would disagree with me. I think it's EJ. I personally believe, okay, EJ, a lot of people overestimate how good of an inside fighter EJ is. Okay, EJ's a break it down type guy. He's not a big counter puncher. He can counter punch. I'm not saying he can't do it, but he's not a big counter. He's not on the level of Boots and Bud. He likes to engage on the inside once he has breaking you down. Okay. Now, I think that Virgil Ortiz can get the better of the exchanges in the beginning of the fight. But that's the question about Virgil Ortiz. Okay, you did see him get caught with some things in the fight, some nice left hooks to the body, left crosses to the head. Unfortunately, Mckinson didn't have much power. He would pop out the right hook. He would land some nice right hooks. So my thing is, what happens if that's Bud landing those punches, okay, against Virgil? What happens if that's Boots? We know these guys got speed, power, high IQ. They can fight on the inside. That's what I'm saying. If he's going to be, I don't know where he's lined up, what route of which belt he's lined up to best, or what route would be best for him in terms of getting a belt, but or who's mandatory he may become after this. But I definitely think if he could just, hypothetically speaking, he could choose one of the champions to face, I believe it should be EJ. And now, like I said, obviously I want to see Bud versus EJ. I want that fight to get out the way, but I would not be shocked if it doesn't. So what's next if it doesn't happen? Well, either those guys go up in weight, or, they stay down and EJ defends his title. I would like to see, if Virgil, his best matchup, in my opinion, will be EJ. EJ is going to stay in that southpaw stance. He's not the best counter puncher when you're going in firefights and exchanging with him. I think Virgil Ortiz is going to go down to the body against EJ. He's going to have the combination. He's going to have the aggression and the tenacity. I think he would definitely get a good edge over EJ in the first few rounds. The question would be, this is a big question, can he, I know he can dish it and I know he can take it, but there's levels to it. What level can you take it? So can you take what EJ is going to throw back at you? And for that matter, can you take what Bud and Boots are going to be dishing back at you? So you went 8 rounds with Mckinson, doesn't have any power, wasn't really a well-known fighter, didn't have the craziest resume. If you taken 8 rounds to go with him, I mean, logically speaking, we're going to be a little bit concerned. Not concerned, but we're going to have questions. Okay, well, how are you going to deal with guys who are far more better? Because Mckinson had no ability to fight on the inside, no power to get respect. Combination punches was kind of on and off. Sometimes he would throw combos, but it's very difficult to throw combos if you can't get your opponent's respect. And he has power and speed and good body shots. It's hard to get your opponent's respect. So we didn't see Mckinson really sit down. He was just limited in his abilities to really make it a competitive fight. But the question is, it took you 8 rounds to get the job done with Mckinson. How are you going to do against guys like Boots and Bud and EJ, especially Boots and Bud, who are very versatile fighters? They can switch hit on you. They can turn in that southpaw stance. They can take your jab away. I didn't see Mckinson really do a good job of using that lead right hand to counter Virgil Ortiz's jab. Bud is a master at doing that. We know Bud is a sharpshooter to the body, and Boots is, somewhat of a hybrid version of Bud. I would say not as high IQ and experience, but Boots is a version of that, but he's going to become probably more speed, more power, more, youth is on his side. So, yeah, look, he's ready for anybody. He's ready. It'll be a great fight. And here's the thing. In boxing, we need to change this. We don't need to build up these fights. These guys need to go round robin. We need to see these matchups happen. Who cares if they lose? If Virgil Ortiz loses or Boots loses, I want to see the fight. Let these guys fight and let them mature. Let them build up. Let them, continue. Just because they take a L, that doesn't mean we need to abandon them, or scrap them or say they're not good fighters. They're losing to upper, high-tiered guys. So even if Virgil is technically speaking maybe not ready to get the victory, or the odds or percentages aren't in his favor, this could be a good, that doesn't mean he can't win, and it doesn't mean it won't be a great fight. You know, same with Boots. I hear Boots is not ready. No, he's ready. He's ready to go. Ready to win? I don't know. But he's ready to go. He's going to make a competitive fight. And even if these guys lose, this is a great way to get experience. And we know if they're losing to guys, seasoned veterans like Bud or EJ, you know, they're going to pass the torch down to these guys. And these guys are the future. And even if they lose, they get to put that under their belt and develop more as fighters. And we get better fights. These guys should be going round robin with each other. Boots, Bud, Virgil, EJ, you know, throw Conor Benn in there, you know, Butayev, you know, Stanionis. All these guys should be mixing it up. Thurman needs to stop sitting back and waiting for a payday. You know, all these guys should be mixing it up. So, personally, he's ready to go. And especially Virgil Ortiz, because he's not going to last forever with that very aggressive fighting style. You know, you can only take so much punishment. Like, now's the time. Jump on it. Jump on Boots right now while he's still somewhat green. You know, jump on Bud Crawford. Jump on, you know, EJ. These guys, now's the time. You're not going to have forever injuries come up as you saw in the past with Virgil Ortiz. That fighting style, you take a lot of punishment. So, you know, it's hard to keep that weight down. Now's the time. Make the fights happen. But good performance by Virgil Ortiz. I had him by KO about a 6th round. It took 3 more rounds. But good win by Virgil. You know, very impressive. Showed high IQ, good boxing skills. He will be competitive against anybody in the world. It's your boy Havoc. Find a round, get at me, comment down below, like the video, subscribe. If you have a fight you want me to break down or talk about, you know, put it in the comment section below and I'll get to it as soon as possible. Stay safe, y'all.